Good afternoon. Good. My name is Robert White, and I'm an associate professor at Alabama State University. And this marks my 30th year in the classroom. And primarily I teach African American humanities. I also teach in the criminal justice department, and I teach the law part for the educational leadership doctoral program. And about 10 years ago, I was in South Carolina speaking and participating in the celebration of what was called the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor. Okay? And so my grandmother's kinfolk were from South Carolina. I had friends from South Carolina. And so that was the first time that I'd ever really engaged in Gullah Geechee celebrations. And I was sitting there thinking about how we could take this concept and turn it into a research project in Alabama. Now, I'm a researcher, okay, which means that we live and eat and drink data, okay? So I'm always thinking about projects and opportunities and things that are, I think would be beneficial to the students, right? So my perspective comes from a student perspective, right? What type of experience can I give my kids, I call them kids, but my students and the students at ASU and other college students around the world, what can we give them that can help them better understand this event? So I was listening to Representative Claiborne talk, and he was talking about the success they had in creating this cultural heritage corridor in South Carolina, but what inspired him was the civil rights movement in Alabama. So he was talking about his experience in Alabama in the Black Belt, and I'm listening to him talk about, at the same time, the accomplishment of creating the Cultural Heritage Corridor in South Carolina. So I get this idea, y'all. I mean, it came from heaven, right? And the minute the idea popped in my head, I called my research partner, Dr. Ron Alabin, who's a geographer at Alabama State, and I was like, Ron, we need to publish some papers on the Civil Rights Cultural Heritage Corridor. And naturally, he's from Sri Lanka, so I'm going to imitate him. He's, Robert, what is that? And so I said, I don't know yet, but let's write an abstract. Let's send it out there and let's get approved to present. And when we get approved, we'll come up with something. So what we did was we used Highway 80, right, as our demographic, okay? And Highway 80 actually starts on the eastern seaboard of Georgia and runs all the way to Texas. And so we identify Highway 80 as being a civil rights corridor, okay? Which means the events that took place along Highway 80 distinguish it as its own cultural epicenter, distinct from other places. Because it's also associated with the Confederacy, that also gives it a lot of credibility. But the events, the places, the people, the culture that Highway 80 exhibits is something that not only has impacted the world, but the world continues to look to this region of Alabama for something. Now here's the thing, what if the students don't know what the something is? Yeah. Because there's a way of teaching history neutered of any type of self-determinative measure, which means you can teach a class on black history and the kids get nothing from it. There's a way to do it. But then there's a way to teach it to where the kids get up, leave out the classroom, and go find something to protest. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Now that's what you call academic good trouble, right? Because faculty that are like that, we tend to get fired. Or we tend to not get tenured, or we tend to not to get our stuff funded, right? So there's a political aspect to it, okay? So we have a book, it's called Highway 80. You can pick it up at linuslearning.com. This is also the textbook for my class, so it's a great thing. And so what I did was, when we started publishing papers, and then, peer-reviewed journals is big. We got a couple of peer-reviewed journal articles done. It was time to write a book. So what I did was, I went to my friends at different universities around the world, and I said, hey, I need you to write a chapter, right? Now you have to donate it because I can't pay you. And so they donated their research data for the book, which was amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, it's about $7 million worth of research into this book, and they donated all of it. Wow. The research, the charts, the technology to do the stuff, the rights to publish, they gave us all of that stuff. And that's something, it's a testament to the nobility of the project itself, right? So it's called Highway 80. You can pick it up at linuslearning.com, right? And a lot of the researchers are local. How many of you know that we have the best researchers and historians right here in the Black Belt? Don't know that, do you? Oh yeah, we got some powerhouses, right? So we've got to call on them. So in the book we have an assembly of professors, foot soldiers, people who were in the movement that have donated. We got a treasure trove of information, pictures nobody's ever seen, letters from Martin Luther King, letters from Stokely Carmichael, because people find out what we're doing and they want to contribute to it. 3 weeks ago, Brother Howard was a coordinator of the Selma leg. We did a 3-day symposium on the book, okay? Purely on the research that was done in the book. We started at the Interpretive Center over on State's campus, then we went to Lowndes County, then we went to Selma, right? And so we did it on Zoom, but that was really a test for the 60th, right? Because the Park Service has agreed, and we hope to partner with St. Jude's and with the foot soldiers and with those who are responsible for Tent City and so forth to continue with that. And this time we're going to start in Tuskegee, because we got a whole wave of research in Tuskegee that we can only cover in a short period of time. So Tuskegee's already agreed informally to dedicate a day and a half purely to our research, right? So we're going to move from Tuskegee to Montgomery to Lowndes County to Selma. And so it's going to be, I've got a couple of copies if you're interested of the program so you can see who it was that was our speakers. So it'll give you an idea of what we're doing. Finally, the pictures that you see here are a part of this research project that involves Alabama State, Auburn University, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, and what this is called, it is called the Foot Soldier Re-Identification Project, okay? Now, these photos are in our custody and our care. We don't own them, we don't own the rights to them. The only thing we can do is display them, right? But these photos, the copies that you see here, are copies of photos that were taken by the state troopers on Bloody Sunday. Okay, right. And the difference in these photos and the photos that you see other people have is that most of the photographers were confined to a certain space. So they were very limited in what they could shoot, right? But as we know, the state troopers were everywhere. And they were in everybody's business, they were in everybody's face. And so it was a miracle that those photos were turned over to us. And what we do is we set these photos up wherever people will let us, and people who were on the bridge that day can come and find themselves. And y'all, let me tell you, it's nothing like seeing somebody walk in and staring at these pictures, and all of a sudden you see the tears start rolling, and sometimes they get faint. You have to get a chair for them, and they point and they say, "There's me, and there's my granddad." They hadn't seen that. They've never seen a picture of it. They've never seen themselves in that. The only thing that they can do is tell you an oral story, right? But it's something for somebody to walk in and point and say, "That's my mom." Or look, that's me and that's my cousin. You see? So it verifies a lot of what they say. Now what we do is, when people walk in, they put, and here's one right here, they put a sticky note with the name on it, and there's a number associated with it, and there's we have a file that we can put as much information in on that person as we can. So as we send it to researchers around the country and places around the country, people are able to say, "Oh yes, that person was here and they lived at this address here." Boom. And it goes into the database under that person's name, right? So people can walk up and find themselves, but this photo right here is a part of the staging area. And look at some of the names: Andrew Young, Hosea Williams, Bob Lance, Marie Foster, Lawrence Huggins. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So we've got all of this information, and so people come in and they can identify who they are in these photos. But you know what also you can show? Not only do you show who was there, but you also can show who wasn't there. Because there's a lot of people that said that they were there. And look, I'm not saying they weren't there. got mad at me. I'm like, listen, I didn't take the pictures. I'm just presenting them. I'm not saying, sweetheart, that you weren't there or not. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying we can't find you. Now, you can find yourself, right? But there are a lot of people that have made those, and you can see very clearly by the, by the quality of the pictures. It's easy to identify. Yeah. Because there are no faces that are blurred. Everybody is clear, because when the cops want to know who you are, they're going to make sure that those photos are clear. So I just want to let you all know what we're doing, right? That we're on the move, that we want to create as many research partnerships as possible. This has been funded purely by our own money. We have donated everything to this project, just to let you know that we believe in the quality of what we're doing, right? And I understand that's going to change, because a lot of people want to talk, and that's great, and that's fine. But know that the faculty and the volunteers that have agreed to work on this project are fully and totally dedicated, right, to making sure we put out the best thing that we can do. And so hopefully we can continue to work together. We've already got a 60th anniversary situation planned out. And here again, our purpose is to collect as much data as we can, so we can formulate it into a way that we can teach our kids, okay? So our mission and purpose is very specific. So at this time, I'll entertain any questions if you have them. Not that I can answer them, but I'll try.
Where are those photos archived? You said, are they here in Alabama?
Right, yeah, right. Right now, they're archived, actually in my office over there on the state. Yeah, I've got them, sitting, and it's probably about 150 of these type. I've also got photos from other photographers, most of them who passed away, some of them who haven't, that had them and just didn't know what to do with them. And so they found out what we were doing and said, look, we think that you can, Lynn Ball is one of them. Actually, some of his incredible photos are in this book. Never been seen before, never been published before, including the silhouette here. That's his photo. Right? Yeah. So that, so that lets you know how people are really trying to identify, with what it is that we're doing. And because I'm a pastor also, when I go to churches and preach and people find out what I'm doing, they walk up to me and give me stuff. I mean, I've got a letter that Martin Luther King wrote to a little 4th grader because he couldn't make his birthday party. And the grandma and the mother of the kid walks up to me and says, listen, I don't know what to do with this, but I'm going to give it to you because I trust what it is that you see what I'm saying? So we've got boxes of stuff that's in good care, right? But we're documenting it, we're going to publish it, and we're going to hold on to it, right? Because this is the people's stuff. It's not an institution stuff, it's not a university stuff. This is our stuff, right? So our custody and care of what we do is very important. ASU gets copies and they have transcripts of the stuff that we do, right? But that's available to everybody. That's just where a lot of the documentation is reposed. But but to answer your question, all of this stuff is in our custody and care. If you want to see it, if you want us to set up somewhere, just contact me, and if we can make it, we'll do it, we'll set it up, and then let it sit there for a little while, and we'll come back and get it, and we'll go that route. Yeah.
I have a question. My father's sister is Marie Foster.
Okay.
This is the first time that I've seen on display a picture of her actually on the march. Where will these be set up on a permanent? Will these be set up on a permanent basis?
Well, right now what we're doing is we're setting it up purely by request, which means that if you contact me and say, hey, can you set this up at Shady Grove Baptist Church on Highway 7? You see what I'm saying? We actually can work out to where we can bring the photos there, set them up for like about a week or so. Y'all take a look at them, and we put them back and take them back. That's how we're doing it right now. But to answer your question, there's not right now a permanent place that they're going to be displayed. Not right now.
Okay, are these open to the public domain? Are these photos on the public domain?
No. Some of them, the ones that Spider Gordon's people gave us, they are. But these right here are photos that are purely still property of the Alabama Department of Public Safety.
So before I leave here, to travel, because I live in Florida, I can take a look at it.
Sure. You can take a look at it, and you can take a picture by it, like pointing at Marie Falk. You know, that's fine.
But once I leave here, I've left the photo.
Right. Right. But not the photo that you took. So if you want to take a private photo,
Okay.
Yes ma'am, if you want to stand here and point, well, listen, yeah, right there. If you want to stand here and point and say, you know, you can take that with you, right? But the copy of the photo itself has to, it has to remain with us till we can work out something better. But thank God we got this, because we weren't supposed to get, we weren't supposed to get this.
And I guess I need to stay in touch.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And let me tell you why that's important, y'all. Because relationships are so important.
Absolutely.
Okay? Let me tell you something. Relationships are what? So important. This book came about because of relationships.
Yeah.
Right? I never lose friends. I only make them. Right?
Yeah.
So these people have been friends of ours for years. Right? And you never know when you're going to need somebody. Right?
Yes.
And so also, you'll hear people, we're living now in an age of sustainable programs. Right? Everybody who thinks they know government talk about sustainable programs. What about sustainable relationships?
Right. Yeah.
Just because the program ends, that doesn't mean the relationship ends.
Yes.
Right? So this being successful, what it is that you all envision successful, has a lot to do with how strong you all's relationships are. And those relationships need to go beyond just who's in an administrative office. Does that make sense? Yeah. Which means that regardless of who the governor is, who the mayor is, you've got to have relationships with government and with these people in order for this stuff to go through. So, any other questions, comments?
I got
Yes.
Yes, I love what you're doing. I wonder, I mean, you have your work cut out for you. We have our interpretive center here in a lot of these photos, and I don't know who a lot of these people are in the photos either.
Sure.
You know, and I don't know if there's like a partnership there or like a way that maybe what you found like works, because I would love to be able to identify people in these photos as well.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what we could do is we could sit down and talk about creating a relationship, you know, to where we could set these photos up, and then these are already here, and invite the public to, because with the 60th, you know, coming through,
Right.
we're hoping that this place be flooded with people.
Right.
Right? And the way we do things is that each of the authors and the people involved have their own following of people, if you would. So they're coming, right? Purely because of the researchers. But the public, y'all, the public needs to know what we know.
Yeah.
I have heard things, I'm just 50, I'm 53, right? I have heard things in this research journey, stuff that I never would have known had I not been sitting next to, like Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, and I heard the thing, he held back on y'all. The reason why I know that is because he speaks to my class every semester. Now, how many students can say that they talked to Martin Luther King's barber? Now, I'm going to tell you, his show at Alabama State is way better than that. I've told him that show you need to take on the road. First of all, you take it on the road. And then second of all, you know. Yeah, right, exactly. But he talks to young people in a totally different way. And the information, because kids, students, young people will ask questions that adults are afraid to ask.
Yeah.
You know, and he will be honest with you. And it's the honesty that the kids can operate off. They can't operate off of faith and myth and ideology and folklore and dreams and all that type of stuff. They got to have hard facts that they can make decisions on and say that I'm making a decision like this because I know this is the decision that Martin Luther King made, or you see, Mary Louise Smith made, or something like that. So having that hard information is so important when it comes to decision making. All right, I'm talking too long. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody? All right. You can reach me at my email address is rwhite@alasu.edu. That's rwhite@alasu.edu. And if you can't get that, you can always hit Brother Howard up. He has all my information. Okay? All right. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.